elite group. We've got, in our men's race, Carl Smith with bib number 1. We've got Frederick Funk of Germany, Aaron Royal from Australia, Mark Dubick from the USA, Henry Schoeman from South Africa, and Tyler Misselchuk from Canada, doing his very first non-drafting event. And on Friday, all of our athletes were taken on an incredible tour of no other than the Great Wall of China. I have to admit, that's been on my bucket list for so many years now. You could not wipe the smile off my face or all of the pro athletes. You can see Tyler Misselchuk really enjoying himself there. Ellie Salthouse, she's one of our top women racing. So Paula Finlay from Canada, Lucy Byram from Great Britain, Amelia Watkinson from New Zealand. We've got Julie Deron, our silver medalist from Paris. Also here, Sian Rainsley will be racing as well. But what a wonderful day they all had on Friday. They also got to visit the 2022 Winter Olympics venue. But wonderful to have so many of the absolute best athletes in the world here racing at the inaugural Challenge Beijing. So as I mentioned, Carl Smith coming in as our number 1 ranked athlete. Number 2 on the PTO ranking, Frederick Funk from Germany, Aaron Royal with bib number 3, Mark Dubrick with bib number 4, Henry Schoeman bib number 5, and Tyler Misselchuk bib number 6. Now we did have races going ahead yesterday. We had our sprint distance triathlon. So many of our athletes got to try out the course. It was a little bit gloomy for the start of the day, but it did start to dry up. Pretty much similar conditions that we're experiencing today. A little less rain today. It looks like it is actually clearing. We were treated to a pretty big shower this morning, but it is starting to clear. You can see some very excited finishes yesterday throughout our sprint distance races. We have a 7:30 kickoff time here for our professional men. Our professional women will be at 7:35, and then our age groupers will start at 7:40 with a rolling start. But you can see great overhead shot of the entire expo park. It really is quite beautiful, so green. And as I mentioned earlier, that run, that 10K run, taking place completely within the park. As we head down now to the official opening of the race.
Ceremony will begin in 1 minute.
Great conditions down there. Now it is a flowing river, so there is a slight current. Nothing really that we need to talk about. You can see it is very still, beautiful, perfect conditions for the swim. That wonderful long pontoon. They will be diving off the pontoon here today.
以及我们的媒体朋友们，首先问候大家上午好，欢迎各位来到2024北京国际铁人3项挑战赛我们全程距离出发组的出发仪式现场。我是北京广播电视台的节目主持人李鹏。首先欢迎各位，欢迎大家。那现在呢是我们的北京时间上午的7点15分啊。那同时呢，从我们现在的气温来看呢，体感温度大约是17、18度左右。而我们的官方数据啊，也告诉我们今天在北京延庆的最高气温大约呢是有22度啊。那借这个机会呢，也更好的为大家宣传和介绍我们的该项赛事。国际铁人3项挑战系列赛是创立于2002年，那么运营的总部呢是位于荷兰的阿尔梅勒，它是全球顶级的铁人3项系列赛事 IP， 同时呢也是全球增长速度最快的大众品牌铁人3项的赛事之一。那么目前我们的赛事已经覆盖了全球范围之内啊超过30个国家和地区，同时呢每年我们会进行大约有40场不同距离的铁三赛事。 那么赛事始终的致力于推广和普及铁人三项的运动，也希望呢通过我们的努力，通过媒体的传播，能够让更多的朋友们了解铁三运动，参与铁三运动，加入到我们的行列当中。那么要特别告诉大家的是，本次2024北京国际铁人三项挑战赛呢，是由中国铁人三项运动协会，同时呢也是由北京市体育局、北京市延庆区人民政府所主办，由北京市延庆区体育局、北京世源投资发展有限责任公司以及德鲁伊北京体育文化发展有限公司，还有国际铁人三项挑战赛 Challenge Family 所承办。那么本次比赛的顺利进行，也离不开赛事的主承办方的精心的筹备，同时也离不开延庆区政府的大力支持，当然更离不开我们所有运动员的热情参与。我们也能看到我们的运动员在我们的集结期已经在准备出发了，对不对？来，我也提议我们所有的运动员把掌声送给自己，好不好？给自己加油吧
Cheer up, ladies and gentlemen.
那昨天呢是我们的半程距离的比赛日，可以说呢我们运动员在小雨当中是完成了属于自己的勇者之旅啊。我印象最深刻的是我们的男女的半程年龄组的冠军，男选手呢应该是有70岁了，他这个组别啊只有1位选手参加，叫70岁以上组。他如果能够顺利完赛，他就是冠军。结果他做到了。那么赛后采访的时候呢，他对我们说啊，铁三是一项非常好的运动啊，只要能够坚持，只要能够参与，就会有好的收获。那同时呢，我印象中还有一位年龄最大的女选手啊，应该是冠军吧，年龄不是最大的一位啊，是有56岁了。那么她在赛后采访的时候非常谦虚地告诉我们说，哎呀，我一看下雨天气，我差点就不来了，是吧？你一看我这一来我就拿到冠军了，你说让旁边的亚军怎么想啊？但是呢，在我的一个感受是，所有的这些优秀的铁三的选手，无论年龄啊，无论性别，他们有个共同点，他们都有着非常健康的体魄，他们都有着非常爽朗的笑声。我觉得他们就是我们心目当中的榜样，让我们感受到了什么叫做铁三精神啊，那就是挑战自我，融入自然，坚持不懈，永不放弃。我相信我们今天所有的选手们也将通过自己的身体力行，包括我们现在所有的参与者们，也会用自己的方式来感受铁三运动的魅力。那接下来呢，我们也告诉大家，今天在我们的活动现场，我们将进行的是全程距离的比赛。那么除了职业组和分龄组，还有我们的男子接力组以及我们的混合接力组。应该说，我们的选手水平更高，我们的比赛也将更加的激烈。同时呢，也要提醒我们所有的运动员，赛事当中的奥运标准距离成绩，在男女各年龄组前3名的选手，以及接力前3的选手，将获得参加2025年5月16号到18号在斯洛伐克所进行的2025国际铁三挑战系列赛的冠军赛参赛资格。所以运动员们一定要好好的加油了。那接下来的时间呢，我们将进入到现场一个非常特别的环节，要有请我们的技术官员入场。那本次比赛的技术官员团队呢，是中国铁人三项运动协会所选派的优秀裁判团队，他们经历过北京奥运会、杭州亚运会、南京青奥会、武汉世界金人运动会以及陕西全运会等大型赛事，可以说他们的执裁经验都非常的丰富啊。而为了确保比赛能够顺利的进行，他们赛前也做了大量的准备工作。在比赛当中，他们也将秉承着公平、公开、公正的原则，为我们的运动员们做好赛事的服务和保障工作，确保他们的比赛安全，以及确保运动员们能够顺利完赛。我也提议把掌声送给我们的裁判员们，好不好？感谢他们的辛勤付出。那今天我们的发令仪式呢，非常荣幸的邀请到了多位领导和来宾莅临我们的活动现场，他们也将用鸣笛的方式来为我们今天的铁三选手们加油助力。接下来，让我们来认识一下他们都是谁呢？首先欢迎中国铁人三项运动协会主席季道明先生，欢迎您。北京市延庆区人民政府副区长任江浩先生，欢迎任区。北京市延庆区体育局 党组书记党强先生，欢迎您。北京世源投资发展有限责任公司副书记、董事、副总经理贺新华先生，欢迎您。Challenge Family 董事长兹比格纽斯鲁夫西克先生，欢迎您。那最后我们要欢迎的这位嘉宾呢是德鲁伊联合创始人兼执行副总裁艾萨加布里埃尔先生，欢迎您。感谢各位嘉宾的到来。那本次赛事能够顺利的落地延庆，也离不开延庆区政府的大力支持。那下面的时间，让我们用热情的掌声，有请北京市延庆区副区长任江浩先生为大家致辞，有请。
尊敬的中国铁人三项运动协会主席季道明先生 ，Challenge Family 董事长兹比格纽斯鲁夫西克先生，各位运动员和媒体朋友们，大家早上好。
Honored Mr. Ji Daoming, President of Chinese Triathlon Sports Association. Honored Mr. Zibi Slupsik, Chairman of Challenge Family. Dear athletes, press friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
在金秋9月的归水河畔，我们共同迎来2024北京国际铁人三项挑战赛。我谨代表延庆区人民政府，热烈欢迎各位参赛选手和来宾朋友们来到美丽的延庆。
We are so pleased to see 2024 Challenge Beijing will unveil soon along the Gui River this golden season of autumn. On behalf of Yanqing District People's Government of Beijing, I'd like to extend our warm welcome to you all at beautiful Yanqing.
延庆以独特的地理位置和丰富的旅游资源而闻名于世，其中长城、世源、冬奥是延庆的3张金名片。在体育领域，延庆作为2022年北京冬奥会和冬残奥会的3大赛区之一，拥有珍贵的冬奥遗产与深厚的群众体育基础。我们希望借助本次赛事，进一步丰富延庆区的赛事资源和体育资产，全力打造延庆区在体育领域的一张亮眼的新名片。
Yanqing is proud of her unique location, landscape, and tourism resources worldwide. Great Wall, Shiyuan Horticulture Expo Park, and Winter Olympics represents the 3 gold-lettered signboards of Yanqing. As one of the venues of the Winter Olympic Games in 2022, Yanqing owns great Winter Olympic legacies and a long tradition of mass sport. We hope that with Challenge Beijing, Yanqing's sport event have some new highlights and thus creating another gold-lettered signboard for Yanqing.
作为赛事的主办方之一，延庆区人民政府将全力以赴做好各项保障工作，呈现一场高水平、高规格、高标准的标杆性铁人3项盛会。希望运动员在全力竞技的同时，也能够感受延庆的大好风光和人文魅力。
As the host of this event, we have been making every effort to assure the smooth operation of this event, trying to present an iconic high-standard and high-level triathlon event. On the basis of professionalism and good athlete experience, we are showing more local feature to the participants. We hope that all athletes perform your best and feel the hospitality, beautiful scene, and splendid culture in Yanqing.
在此祝愿2024北京国际铁人3项挑战赛圆满成功，也期待各位参赛选手在比赛中挥洒激情，展示风采，收获友谊，尽情享受比赛的乐趣。谢谢大家。
Wish 2024 Challenge Beijing a big success. Expect all athletes endless passion, best performance, good results, and full enjoyment. Thank you.
好，谢谢人区致辞，谢谢各位热情的掌声。那接下来呢，我们将进行的是现场的发令仪式，有请我们的工作人员把我们的发令汽笛送到各位嘉宾的手中。那同时呢，本次大赛共计呢来自20个国家和地区的1100名运动员来到美丽的延庆参加比赛。那么从18岁的青年到70岁的铁三的前辈啊，我也代表了一种铁三精神的传承。 好，下面的时间，请我们的各位选手，尤其是做好我们的出发准备。当然了，也请我们的各位领导，右手高举在身前，我们一起来倒计时5个数，请做准备，5、4、3、2、1。好，谢谢我们的各位嘉宾，请移步到我们的观赛区现场观赛。那随着我们汽笛的鸣响，首先前往我们福台的是我们男子职业组全程距离的7位职业运动员，他们分别是来自新西兰的凯尔史密斯。
All right, and we are almost underway. The Chinese certainly do love to give their speeches. You can see on screen right now, that is our number 1 athlete. So, Kyle Smith from New Zealand, it is actually his birthday today, so what a birthday gift he would give himself if he was able to take the win. He's turning 27. We will be celebrating later tonight. Frederick Funk from Germany coming in bib number 2. Aaron Royal from Australia, bib number 3. He is straight, fresh off the plane from the Paralympics. Bib number 4, Mark Dubrick from the USA. Unfortunately for poor old Mark, his bike never showed up. So he will be on a borrowed bike. Quintana Roo came to the rescue, so big shout out to Quintana Roo for providing the goods for Mark and allowing him to race today. Henry Schoeman from South Africa wearing bib number 5, Tyler Misselchuk from Canada, bib number 6, and Dan Kui, the local Chinese legend, bib number 7. So 7 professional men lining up here today. We will be starting at 7:30 a.m. It will be a dive start off the pontoon. 1 big loop, 1,500 meters in an anti-clockwise direction. Our athletes are in the hand of the starter. As I mentioned, a very small but incredibly elite field of professional men racing here today. And they are off. The inaugural Challenge Beijing 2024 non-wetsuit swim here today with the water temperature sitting at 21.5 degrees Celsius. We are expecting Henry Schoeman from South Africa to take the lead fairly early on. He is the fastest swimmer on paper, but plenty of other very, very good swimmers. Mark Dubrick, also a great swimmer. Tyler Misselchuk. Aaron Royal, of course, the number 1 PTO ranked swimmer. Can the likes of Kyle Smith and Frederick Funk hang on to the back of these men? Only time will tell. Now our women will be starting exactly 5 minutes after our professional men. While our men are in the red caps, our women will be in white caps as they make their way round the first turn buoy. They need to keep all of these boys, all of the red boys, on their left shoulder. You can see that it is already starting to really spread out. Very impressive swim so far by Kyle Smith. I know he really wants to win the race here today. He's been on an absolute roll all year. I mentioned earlier he won the championship, one of our marquee events, back in May in Šamarin, Slovakia. He then went on to finish second at the T100. In San Francisco, he had that epic sprint finish with Martin Van Riel. Most recently, he finished second again, the T100 in London, to Sam Laidlow. Nice clean start from our professional men. But great to see Kyle right up the pointy end of the field so far. Actually surprised to see the men still relatively close together. I really thought it would start to spread a little bit.
好，各位现场的朋友们，接下来我们将迎来的是第2组出发的选手，是我们的女子职业组全程距离的6位职业运动员。来，我们认识一下，他们分别是
For the pros of women,
来自加拿大的宝拉·芬德利。
Miss Paula Findlay.
那么这位选手呢是加拿大的传奇铁三运动员，也是当今最好的半程选手之一。2010年，他成为了第1位赢得世界铁人3项系列赛的冠军。 那么对不起，是在2010和2013。
So our professional women now on the start pontoon.
冠军的壮举。那么 ITU 呢是指国际铁人3项。
Bib number 21, Paula Findlay from Canada.
是来自英国的露西·拜兰。
Wearing bib 22, we had Lucy Barham from Great Britain.
超新星。那么从2022年成为职业选手。
She makes her way out onto the start pontoon. She is the youngest in the field at only 25 years of age. On screen now, we're wearing bib number 23, Amelia Watkinson from New Zealand. Recently changed coaches, basing herself in St. Moritz right now with the Sutto squad. Of course, Amelia, when she's home in Australia, lives just down the road from me in Coolum. Ellie Salthouse from Australia wearing bib number 24. She's come straight from Europe. After this race, she'll be heading back home to Brisbane. And Julie Deron from Switzerland wearing bib number 25. Well, what a year that this young lady has had so far. Silver medal in Paris. I'm sure she shocked quite a few with that finish. And Sian Rainsley from Great Britain wearing bib number 26. Like Tyler Misselchuk, this will be Sian's first time racing a non-drafting Olympic distance event. So for both Sian...
Arma.
来，把我们祝贺的掌声、加油的声音送给他们，好不好？鼓励我们的运动员们，为他们加油吧！好，那么女子组的选手呢也已经出发了。那么今天呢，我们赛前最后一次官方给出的水温呢应该是21.5度。那么按照我们的赛事的规定啊，职业选手呢是不允许穿着保温泳衣
as well.
同时我们的其他组
Sorry about that with the having a little bit of an issue here.
再次的为选手们加油助力。同时，今天我们所有的赛事也将通过 BRTV 体育休闲频道进行电视观看。
But our fastest swimmers on paper will be Sian Rainsley, coming in as the fastest swimmer. Julie Deron also very, very fast in the water, along with Ellie Salthouse. So they are our 3 key female swimmers. Lucy Barham also very strong, along with Paula Findlay.
今天比赛的颁奖仪式，在中心区呢还为大家准备了丰盛的美食和丰富的现场活动。
So Paula Findlay coming in as our #1 female athlete, but of course that is only because our other athlete, Sian Rainsley, never raced anything longer than Olympic distance, has never raced anything other than draft legal events. Julie Deron, I believe, will be our favourite here today, fresh off that second place in Paris. She's also raced quite a few times now, over the longer distances, over the middle distance, very, very good over that distance as well. She's also coached by Brett Sutton, very strong squad.
Beijing is a really hot place, a really hot climate, humid. And then, yeah, I come here and I see this amazing winter sports facility, and yeah, I hear that it's 10 kilometers long, the descent of the skiing, and yeah, it's very impressive that they could build this as well. Like, I think they built it super fast.
That was So on screen, they're talking about the Winter Olympics venue held back in 2022. We were lucky enough to get to visit that venue on Friday. Incredible venue that it is. Men and women making their way around this 1500 course. Our women right now on screen. Julie Deron, our favourite, along with Paula Finlay here today. Julie spent a lot of time here in Beijing. Her coach, Brett Sutton, the national coach of the Chinese team. So Julie did a lot of her preparation for Paris here in Beijing at the National Training Centre. As we go back to see our women start again, that's Julie on screen right now. Whoop, nice start there. As our women are also underway. Quite a unique situation here. I know I was talking to the women all week. I said, what do you think it's going to be like? There's only 6 of you on the start line. They said, well, at least there won't be too much argy-bargy in the water. And you can see right now that beautiful long single line. A little bit of a gap forming between second and third swimmer there. We did expect the women's race to break up a lot sooner than the men's race. That's Julie Deron in the red suit, currently sitting in second place. Sian Rainsley on the front. Unfortunately for Sian, she sprained her ankle last week. I got to see the pictures. It was a nasty one, but she's done everything that she possibly can. She got the bruising out nice and early, and when I spoke to her this morning, she's fairly confident that it will not play a part here today. Her fiancé, Tom Bishop, will be racing in Challenge Samarkand. That race will begin probably around 30 minutes after our race finishes here. So while Sian will be finishing Challenge Beijing, her fiancé Tom Bishop will be starting Challenge Samarkand. We've got both defending champions here racing today from Samarkand. Ellie Salthouse won the race last year along with Frederick Funk. Of course, Samarkand has a great field. Christian Blumenfeld, Rico Bogan, Gustav Eden, Tommy Bishop, Tom Hoog. And our women, we've got Laura Madsen. Nicole van der Kay from New Zealand lining up for her first ever middle distance. I know that Frederick Funk learned that he was not going to be able to hold the feet of these super swimmers. We've got some of the best swimmers in the world here. And you can see, yep, as you look back, those 5 swimmers on screen right now. You've got Kyle Smith, Aaron Royal, Mark Dubrick, Henry Schoeman, Tyler Misselchuk, Frederick Funk just off the back of that group, and Dan Quay a little further back. Beautiful conditions down there in the River Gui. So just that slight gap between our second and third swimmer. It's always a horrible feeling when that elastic band just starts to break. But Henry Schoeman, Mark Dubrick and Tyler Misselchuk doing a fabulous job. Aaron Royal also right up there. It looks like it is Kyle Smith. You can see him. He looks like he is in 4th place right now. That gap is just starting to open up between second and third as they make their way down the far end of this 1,500-metre course. And so just to let all our viewers know, this is actually one of the first times that we've been able to have English live coverage from China. Anyone that's been to China will know the difficulties with communication, with internet. It's been really tricky all week to try and get this to you, but with the caliber field that we've got, we just thought we have to try and get this English coverage to the world, this inaugural Challenge Beijing to the world. So I must apologize if I do cut out every now and again. We are certainly trying to work on it here in studio. So our men have around 200 metres left. 200 metres for our men. You can see it is really starting to split up now. You can see Mark Dubrick in there, Henry Schoeman, Tyler Misselchuk and Aaron Royal. Kyle Smith, he really wanted to make sure that he got out with this group. Kyle Smith, definitely the strongest rider in the field, along with Frederick Funk. We know Frederick Funk from Germany has been dropped from this group. You can see that's a great shot now just to see that gap that has opened up right in the final meters of this swim. They just need to make their way to that final red buoy. Now, transition, it's quite a long run from the swim exit to transition to T1. Around that 500 meters. Fully carpeted, of course, but 500-meter run. And I know that this group behind, this group of 3 with Kyle Smith, in that group, I know they will be happy about that run. Gives them the opportunity to try and bridge across before they reach transition. You can see Kyle Smith there, desperately trying to limit that deficit up to our top 2 swimmers. Henry Schoeman. Of course, Henry became a father for the second time only 3 weeks ago. little son Maverick. So big shout out to Franzel if she's back home in South Africa watching. Yep, that is indeed Henry Schoeman with Aaron Royal in second. So Schoeman out in first, Aaron Royal in second, 17:32. Great swim from Aaron Royal, fresh off the Paralympics. Tyler Misselchuk also there, as well as Mark Dubrick and Kyle Smith. Fabulous swim from Kyle Smith. He really is in such incredible form. And this is when they start that long run to transition around that 500-meter mark. Henry Schoeman was also in Paris for the Olympics, along with Tyler Misselchuk and Julie Derron. So 3 Olympians here today racing. Henry's been quite reasonably quiet here this week, focusing on this race. I know he would love to take the win here. And you can see already that gap is starting to come down. I know Tyler Misselchuk right up there, Mark Dubrick and Kyle Smith. I mentioned earlier, Kyle Smith turning 27 today. Nina Derron's her sister, Julie Derron, turning 28 on Tuesday. Talk about Nina. Nina Derron, her sister, just finished 3rd at the infamous Jérémie long-distance triathlon, along with their other teammate, Alana Siffert, only 22 years of age, taking the win over Ash Gentle. So great racing from the Sutto squad here this weekend. Great shot of transition, that beautiful big butterfly. Our professional athletes are right up at the front end of transition, so they will have the easiest route out onto the bike. The bike course here, 2 laps, one slightly larger lap for the first lap and then a smaller lap for the second. 40 kilometres in total. Beautiful smooth roads, completely closed here today. We are expecting some really lightning fast bike times. I know this is where Kyle Smith wants to make his mark. As the boys make their way to their bikes, speed suits will come off, helmets will come on. They must make sure that all their used equipment is in the box provided. So we are following World Triathlon rules here today, as our top 5 professional men make their way out onto the 40-kilometre bike course. That is Mark Dubrick on the back there. Hats off to Mark Dubrick. His bike was told it would make it. At around 7 o'clock last night, they'd given up all hope of it arriving, and they were able to find a replacement bike for him. And honestly, I'm just so impressed with Mark. He didn't lose his cool. He remained positive. He was fixing the bike, trying to get it so that it was race ready for himself, along with Ellie Salthouse's partner, Zach. So big shout out to Zach for helping with that as well. But yeah, super impressive that he's just remained calm. And I saw him this morning. I said, how are you feeling? He's like, I'm just going to do whatever I can with what I've got. Such a great attitude from Mark. Absolute champion. He's part of the Real Tri squad, run by Nicholas Chase. So big shout out to Nick Chase if you are watching. Mark's coached by James Pedersen, based out of the US. It's the first time for Mark in China. He won Challenge Salinas back in December last year. You can see now the last of our professional men. That is our local Chinese athlete, Dang Kui. So we know in front of Dang we would have Frederick Funk from Germany. He would have been out in 6th place. Now we are implementing the 20-meter rule here. It's quite a tough rule to get past the Chinese Federation, but hats off to them for being open to the change for this particular race. And already, as expected, it is Carl Smith on the front, doing what Carl Smith does best. He's a magnificent rider. Really has had a great year this year. He came in as the #1 athlete, hence why he has bib #1. Ranked #2 in the world right now at the PTO rankings. He's for sure the best all-round athlete over both short and long distance racing here today. Coached by Dan Lorang. He was first place at Challenge Wanaka right back at the beginning of the year. First place at the championship in May. He was second in the last 2 T100 races in both San Francisco and London. After battling quite a bit of illness in the last couple of years, great to see him right back where we know he belongs. As we see our professional women now starting to make their way to the swim exit. As expected, the women's race has broken up quite a bit more than our men's race. So we have the two swimmers with a nice lead. That is Sian Rainsley out in first place, with Julie Deron of Switzerland right behind. So our two short course specialists, although I don't know if we can call Julie just a short course specialist anymore. I have a sneaky suspicion that Julie Deron will be our new short/middle distance specialist. Very, very good over both distances. We've got Ellie Salthouse also out of the water, so great swim from Ellie. She's always ever so consistent in the swim. So at just 30 seconds back. And great swim by Paula Finlay and Lucy Byram not too far behind. And that just leaves Amelia Watkinson to come. Great to see that Julie has been offered one of the wild cards to the T100 in Ibiza. I am so keen to see how she's going to go against some of the incredible women also racing there. I really do think she's going to be a force to be reckoned with over this distance. Sian Rainsley from Great Britain racing for the very first time over a non-drafting format. So crazy to think that Sian has been in this sport for 20 years, but this will be her first ever time racing a non-drafting Olympic distance format. She literally just got herself a time trial bike on it for the very first time. So while our women make their way towards T1, our men on right of screen, Carl Smith, our lead male, making his way around the first lap of this 40-kilometre bike course. The rain has stopped, so the conditions are improving. We had a very similar situation yesterday with our sprint race. Started the morning with quite a bit of rain, but it started to clear fairly quickly. Great thing about this course is it's not too technical, beautiful, completely closed roads, nice and smooth. Most of the athletes got an opportunity to ride both of the ride and run course. They've had a good look over both. As Sian Rainsley puts that speed suit into the bucket. Helmet's clipped up. And it is Julie Deron from Switzerland first out. Sian Rainsley right on her heels as they make their way up over the red carpet, over that mount line. They must make sure they're past the mount line before they jump on their bike. So both Julie Deron and Sian Rainsley now out onto the bike course. So Ellie Salthouse and Lucy Byram next out. can see just how wet it has been this morning. Thankfully for our spotters down on ground now, telling me the rain has stopped. But they're going to be contending with very wet and slick roads out there. As I mentioned, not such a technical course, but there are certainly some 180-degree turns that they will need to be a little bit careful about. But you can see on screen now, Julie Deron first out, Sian Rainsley 42 seconds. Ellie Sott has 42 seconds in arrears for that second group out. So both Ellie Salthouse and Paula Finlay and Lucy Byram on screen. That's Paula Finlay on screen right now. So fantastic to have an athlete of Paula's caliber come all the way from Canada to race here in China. She recently married her longtime partner and fellow pro athlete Eric Lagerström. So big congrats to them both. That was on August 9 back in Alberta, Canada, so recently married. As we can see, Amelia Watkinson now also make her way into transition. Meals knew that she would be there would be a deficit out of the swim. But getting back to Paula Finlay, last raced here in Beijing in 2017, back when she was a short course athlete. The Beijing International Triathlon.
Ladies, that way. On that road.
So we can see Julie Deron getting rather used to this time trial position right now. We know that she's a short course specialist. And moving forward, I know that she's still definitely interested in keeping to short course racing, to world triathlon racing, but will be mixing it up with a fair bit of T100 and middle distance racing as well. One of the greatest things about having a race like this, where we've only got a very small but elite field, we've all been staying in the same hotel all week, just across the road from the Expo Park in the Hyatt, one of the sponsors of the race. We've been having breakfast together every morning, dinner together every night. It's been such a wonderful experience for all of the professional athletes. Some of these athletes coming into the race, they didn't know each other so well. They certainly do now. I have to say, probably one of the easiest groups of athletes I've ever had to work with. Each and every one of them, just wonderful, wonderful people to deal with. Tyler Misselchuk, also from Canada, currently in second place. Also his first time on a time trial bike. He picked it up 2 weeks ago, so he's had exactly 2 weeks to get used to this position. Tyler, we know he's also fresh from the Olympics in Paris, where he finished in 9th position. He's a 2-time Olympian. And I had been told beforehand that he is one of the nicest guys in the sport, and I have to agree. Wonderful person. Great to have him here over this distance. Last time he raced here in Beijing was back in 2011 as a junior, when the World Triathlon World Champs were held here. I think Paula Finlay and Aaron Royal were also here racing at the time, back when they were all youngsters. So Tyler Misselchuk, been in the sport for a very long time now, but first time racing in a non-drafting event. Crazy to think. So if you're getting a little bit confused, what you're seeing right now on screen, that is our Chinese athlete Dan Kui being overtaken by Julie Deron. Julie, probably one of our most experienced racing here in China, or at least training here in China. Beijing, huge place. She didn't train where we are now. We're about 45 to 50 minutes out of the heart of Beijing. So quite a distance from the National Training Centre where Julie was based. Great to see our professional women. That's Ellie Salthouse on screen right now. With only 6 women and 7 men racing, the 20-metre rule sat them down in the briefing. And they were all adamant that they were all going to follow this rule. Everyone was going to play ball. Great to see that that is indeed the case. Ellie Salthouse currently sitting in 2nd place now. So managed to bridge across to Sian Rainsley and overtake Sian for 2nd. Ellie's also had a really solid season so far with 2 firsts, a 2nd and a 3rd over the middle distance. She's travelled here to Beijing with her partner Zach. Great to have both Zach and Ellie here. After this race, they will be making their way back home to Brizzy, just down the road from where I live. But really, Ellie Salthouse, she's been in the sport for such a long time and has been such a consistent athlete. Started in short course like so many of the athletes racing today, but now specialises over that middle distance. But all of our middle distance athletes really quite excited to race over this non-drafting Olympic distance format, particularly with the 20-metre rule being implemented. Still really wet out on the roads there. You can see that they're taking those corners a little gingerly, as they should. Last thing I said to them all when I saw them in transition was, please keep rubber side down. We don't want to see anyone fall off their bikes today. Interesting fact about Beijing, it is literally the only city in the world to have held both the summer and a winter Olympic Games. Summer Games back in 2008. Of course, Jan Frodeno and Emma Snowsill were the winners of the triathlon back then. Both now happily married with 2 gorgeous kids. And then the Winter Olympics more recently back in 2022. Beijing, over 21 million residents. So Beijing, not only the world's most populated national capital city, but also one of the oldest cities in the world, with a really rich history dating back over 3 millennia. And the district we are in here, district of Beijing, the Yanqing district. During the Olympics, it hosted the alpine skiing, the bobsled, the luge, the skeleton. And the park that we are based in right here was one of the villages throughout the Olympic Games. The beautiful mountain range that we can see, that backdrop of our swim today, the Haitu mountain range. So Yanqing, about 74 kilometers away from the city center of Beijing. And I have to admit, when I first turned up, we've all been, if anyone's been to Beijing before, it is probably one of the most populated, crazy cities that I've ever experienced. But you come out here to this, to the Yanqing district, and it is absolutely beautiful. You can see on course right now, it is so green, very, very clean, hardly any cars on the road. Last time I was here in China was back in 2019 for Challenge China, and I've been so impressed with just how clean it is. They really have made an effort. I was talking to some of the locals the other day, and the amount of electric cars on the road now, as you can imagine with a population like China, just having so many electric cars on the road rather than petrol has made such a huge difference to the air quality here. You can see now just how wet those roads are. Really need to be cautious, particularly with the crossings and all the white paint. Mark Dubrick on screen, really making sure that he stays upright. Literally only had a couple of hours to get the bike that he is now on fitted to him as best can be. They allowed him to put his bike into transition this morning. All of the other pros had to rack their bikes yesterday afternoon. But of course they made an allowance for Mark. Henry Schoeman on screen right now. Starting to make that move across to middle distance more often. He did win his first middle distance race this year in the Philippines. He's a three-time Olympian. Of course, winning that bronze medal back in Rio. Great to have Aaron Royal, one of the most successful short course athletes Australia has ever had. He's represented Australia at 2 Olympic Games and is fresh from Paris, guiding Sam Harding in the triathlon where they finished in 5th place. So 2 Olympic Games and 1 Para-Olympic Games for Aaron Royal. He's based in Leeds with his wife Non Stanford, a former pro athlete herself. Coached by Dan Plews, based in New Zealand. But Aaron Royal, of course, also swapped short course to long course now. But currently in first place, it is this man, birthday boy, Carl Smith. Up front, looks like he's been able to create a little bit of a gap between himself and that chase group of 4. Frederick Funk right now on screen in 6th place. Fred knew that he would be coming out of the swim with a little bit of a deficit. Definitely it would be between himself and Kyle on who takes the strongest rider. Very, very powerful on the bike. This is also the first time for Fred being here in China. So for many of our athletes racing today, first time ever to China. He's getting married in November to his fiancée, Jana. She's down on ground doing a fabulous job with the spotting.
Time to China and to Beijing, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But yeah, I'm from Europe, from the mountains there as well, and seeing mountains here makes me feel almost like home. Yeah, I think during the race there won't be much time to enjoy the scenery. Just give out my best and try to be as fast as possible. Overall, like the hospitality was already really great. Everyone is super friendly and polite, and yeah, it makes me really feel welcome in China.
So great to have Frederick Funk here, along with his fiancée, Jana. They will be getting married in Valsy in November this year. Challenge Valsy. Fred is the king of Challenge Valsy, having won it quite a few times now. So great to see that they will be going back there to get married in November. So Ellie Salthouse still in second place for our females here You can see getting up off the bars just to make that corner. She's not taking any risks, particularly on the white lines. They are a little slippery.
Oh, it's stunning. It's amazing. I mean, it's incredible. It's something that you can only dream of doing, to be at the Great Wall of China. So far, my impression is that great feat to be here, and I'm excited to check out the Great Wall of China. Everyone's been so welcoming. The course so far, from what I've seen, is incredible, running through past the exhibitions. So I'm very excited to be here. Mei Lia Yang Qing Bing Xue Xiao Du.
Well done, Ellie Salthouse. I know many of our pros really struggled with those Chinese sentences, but Ellie, you nailed it. And I have to be honest, that sightseeing tour that we went on Friday was truly exceptional. I mean, to be able to visit the Great Wall of China, to finally get there, and we started to make our way up on the cable car, just to see all the athletes' faces and my face as well. I mean, we were just blown away. It is probably one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen. So wonderful, wonderful day. We got to eat lunch that day in a traditional little village, traditional Chinese food. It was wonderful food. And our professional athletes have just been such great sports. Of course, they're here first and foremost to race, but they've been taking everything in their stride. It was a long day on Friday. We left the hotel at about 9:50. We didn't get back till 4:30. No complaints. They were just all smiles. Lucy Byram on screen right now, 25 years of age. She's our youngest competitor racing today. She's coached by Jacob Tipper. Recently finished 5th at the T100 in London, so solid race from Lucy there. And what a ride Frederick Funk is having so far. You see, he's already managed to bridge that gap. He is one of the most powerful cyclists in the world. So that is Carl Smith on screen now. So originally we thought Carl Smith was the one that had got away, but we're looking now on screen, and my spotters down on ground are telling me. You can see that is Carl Smith on the front right now. We're trying to see where exactly Tyler Misselchuk is. We know Henry Schoeman is in that group. We can see Frederick Funk managing to ride very, very well so far. He had quite a large deficit out of that swim. So right now that is the 5 with Carl Smith on front, Frederick Funk on the back of that group. He is just about to make contact with Mark Dubrick. In front of Mark Dubrick we have Henry Schoeman. And that is Aaron Royal behind Carl Smith. So that indeed, we need to find out exactly where Tyler Misselchuk is. So hopefully I'm going to be able to let you know. We are assuming that he is up the front somewhere. As soon as I get my spotters to let me know who is on the front. But that is that group of 5. Carl Smith, Aaron Royal, Henry Schoeman, Mark Dubrick, and now Frederick Funk, who has had a great ride to bridge his way across. Leading our women's race, well, it is still no other than Julie Deron, silver medalist in Paris. Lucy Byram on screen right now, part of Team BMC. They have a great tri team. They've been so supportive of triathlon for many years now. So saying that Lucy is now currently in first place on course. We know that Julie was away. Julie was in first place out of transition, but Lucy Byram very, very strong on the bike. Need to confirm that she is indeed in first place, that she has been able to bridge across to Julie. Kyle Smith having a little bit of a look behind just to see who's there. I wonder if he's seen that Frederick Funk has joined that group now. Both Frederick Funk and Kyle Smith, the two strongest riders in this group by quite a way. So right now, I need to assume that it is Kyle Smith on the front, so he is leading this race. We're trying to get an update of where exactly on course Tyler Misselchuk is. He doesn't seem to be in this group. We have 7 professional men racing here today. We've got 5 of them right now in this group. That is Aaron Royal right behind Kyle. We've then got Henry Schoeman. Mark Dubrick is there, and Frederick Funk, having just managed to make his way and is now in contact with this lead group. I know Tyler was a little concerned with the pace that these men were going to be riding today, as you can hear the screech of those brakes around the corners. This first lap on the bike is slightly longer. There is a smaller loop that they will do the first lap that they will not do the second lap. So one lap slightly longer than the next. So while it is a 2-loop bike course here today, our run is a 3-loop course. It's 10 kilometers in total, 2 smaller loops of 2.5 kilometers each, and then 1 longer loop of 5 kilometers. But that is Lucy Byram and Paula Finlay. Paula, one of the strongest cyclists here today, if not the strongest. We'll be heading to Zurich after this to compete in the time trial championships for Canada. So she's one of those exceptional athletes, along the likes of Taylor Knibb, that are able to not only race elite in the sport of triathlon, but also in time trialing and cycling as well. So Paula married on August 9th. Not sure they've had a honeymoon yet. No time for that. Of course, Paula started that triathlon life so popular back with Eric back in 2020. Really popular podcast, YouTube show. She's coached by Paula Souza. And as I mentioned, she will be heading directly to Zurich to compete in the time trial championships there, before then staying in Europe and heading to Ibiza for the T100 race that will be there at the end of the month. So exciting times for Paula coming up. And look at this move by Frederick Funk. Not content to just sit there on the back of that group. I knew he wouldn't be. But this is going to be such a blessing in disguise for Kyle Smith. These two athletes, Freddie Funk and Kyle Smith, fierce competitors on the field, but best of mates off the field. And this could be an opportunity for these two men to really make a mark on this race. By far the strongest cyclists, and they are really going to start turning the screws and making the athletes behind them really work hard to stay there. You can see they're starting to pass some of the age group athletes that are out on course. So our age group athletes are now on their way. And that's when the pass has been made. So now this young woman on screen, Lucy Byram, is leading the race. She was successfully able to pass Julie Deron, and now Paula Finlay also in front. So Lucy Byram and Paula Finlay now in first and second place, with Julie Deron on screen now in third. It's been a huge month for Julie. Of course, after winning silver medal, coming second in Paris, winning that silver medal, she's had so many media obligations back home, as you would expect. She's an absolute superstar back home now in Switzerland. And that really starts to take its toll, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally. And then to have to get on a plane and travel all the way across here to China. So a report out on course right now at the 23-kilometre mark for our professional men. Tyler Misselchuk, we were wondering where he was. He is now 1 minute 35 down on that lead group. That lead group, by all reports, are absolutely flying, so they are not letting these wet roads slow them down. Lucy Byram on screen, our current leader, having a fantastic race so far. Youngest in the field. We know that Paula Finlay is with her. Will Julie Deron be able to stay within contact of these two women? Sian Rainsley a little further back. Great to have Sian here racing over this format for the very first time. So currently in 5th place. Oh, and you can see already the end result of a Frederick Funk attack. He is an absolute German powerhouse. And you can see Mark Dubrick is the first to drop off the back of that group. I knew when Frederick Funk started to make his way towards the front that it would be chaos in this group, and chaos it is. So currently still in 4th place, but you can see just starting to lose contact with that group. He might be the first, but I certainly don't think he'll be the last. I'm pretty sure that both Frederick Funk and Carl Smith had words earlier this week about different types of scenarios that were going to take place. But Frederick Funk still leading, Carl Smith behind, and right on screen now, Aaron Royal from Australia. Doing really well to stay in contact with these two men. Aaron was the last of the athletes to arrive here in Beijing. He had commitments, obviously, in Paris with the Paralympics. He literally arrived on the Friday morning, jumped straight on a bus with us, and spent 6 hours sightseeing and touring. So hats off to Aaron Royal. He's had a big program this week. But look at this. Frederick Funk means business. He is not hanging around. I'm really surprised that Carl Smith hasn't tried to stay with him. I thought that once Frederick Funk hit the front, it would be an opportunity for both Fred and Kyle to really put a sizable gap between themselves and the chasers. But Frederick Funk has got other ideas right now, and he is absolutely motoring. Now, Frederick would know on paper that he would be one of the slower runners in the group, and that is not to say that he cannot run. He is a fantastic runner. It's just the caliber of runners here racing today is so high. So Frederick knows he needs a little bit of a buffer coming into transition. You can see just how wet those roads are. Reports out on course that it did start raining again. It doesn't look like it's raining now, but those roads are extremely wet. One of the greatest things for these athletes is while it might be wet and a little tricky with the wet roads, you can see those barricades. The entire 40 kilometres of this bike course is barricaded with absolutely no opportunity for pedestrians or cars or motorbikes to come onto the course. And so such great peace of mind for the athletes racing, not just our professional athletes, but our age group athletes as well. As I mentioned at the beginning of the morning, around 1,150 age group athletes taking part here today. Big shout out to the local community and police of Yanqing. So far, the Chinese Federation giving it an A+. So while our men are well and truly into the second lap here, our women have just made, you can see there right now, off to the right, that is going into transition. So our men, when they come back around, will be moving right to head to transition. But Paula Finlay and Lucy Byram now completing lap 1 and making their way out onto lap 2, with Ellie Salthouse not too far behind them, currently holding 3rd position, riding really well on her own. See, she is also making her way. She'll move over to the left-hand side of the road to start lap 2. So our women now at 23 kilometres. That first lap slightly longer than the second lap that they are now on. So 23 kilometres done and dusted for our professional women. Ellie Salthouse on screen now, around 53 seconds in arrears to our 2 leaders, Lucy and Paula. Those other athletes you can see on course on camera are indeed our age group athletes starting lap 1, while our professional men and women are on to lap 2. Julie Deron now in 4th place, 1 minute 15 in arrears, and Sian Rainsley in 5th place, 1 minute 25 in arrears. So just to recap, Lucy Byram and Paula Finlay currently leading our professional women's race. We've got Ellie Salthouse at around 53 to 54 seconds back, Julie Deron at 1:15 back, and Sian Rainsley at 1:25 back. Frederick Funk has been doing triathlon since he could walk. Both of his parents were fantastic professional athletes in their own right, and both ridiculously good bike riders. He used to race against Frederick's mum back in the day. It's crazy how it's come full circle. One of the nicest guys in the sport, loved by everyone. But big shout out to his mum and dad, Heike and Harold Funk. So our men's leader, Frederick Funk, on the left. Our women's leader, Lucy Byram, on the right. Both of these athletes absolutely superb so far here today in Beijing. professional athletes here today, racing for a share of $100,000 prize purse. First place will take home $20,000, second $10,000, in third $8,000, fourth is $6,000, fifth will be $4,000, and sixth place will be $2,000. So all athletes really doing very, very well with this 20-metre draft rule here today. Very easy to police when you've only got 6 athletes racing. But all athletes doing the right thing right now. So much respect for each other. One of the things that they spoke about at the professional briefing. Of course, we do have many technical officials out on course, but not really having to do too much at the moment. Nice easy day for them because all of these athletes are playing ball and doing the right thing. Great to see. Lucy really riding very, very well. She's a very strong bike rider. Done very, very well in the challenge races over the years. 4 challenge middle distance wins to her name. Has had a little bit of an up and down season this year. With 2 DNFs, she was DNF in the Philippines, also at the T100 in San Francisco. Was 7th in Singapore earlier this year, and more recently a solid 5th place at the T100 in London. Lily Salthouse, 5 challenge middle distance wins to her name, including Challenge Samarkand last year, which is probably only an hour away from starting, a little longer. So Challenge Samarkand also taking place today with a great field. Going to be very, very interesting to see who takes the win there, particularly in our men's race, with the likes of Christian Blumenfeld, Gustav Eden, Rico Bogan, Tommy Bishop, Tom Hoog, Ruben Zapunkta also racing there today. So stellar men's field in Samarkand. Another race that is so superbly organised. Henry Schoeman on screen now, starting to really find his way over this middle distance. Definitely from a shortcut perspective, it's going to start moving across. I got to speak to him earlier this week. Move across to the longer distances, moving forward in his career. He's had such a brilliant career. He's been a wonderful ambassador for the sport, for South Africa. Only became a father for the second time 3 weeks ago. It's part of Team Bahrain, but great to have Henry here racing with us today. Such a great mix of short and long course athletes. Been a lot of talk amongst the men at breakfast, across the breakfast table, about what sort of wattage this man on the left was going to be producing today. He's just such a powerhouse on the bike. As one of the coolest names in the sport of triathlon. Frederick Funk has 6 challenge middle distance wins to his name. He won Challenge Valsy last year. He won Challenge Samarkand last year as well. He was second at the 70.3 World Championships. More recently this year, he was 5th in the T100 in London. Second to Carl Smith at the championship in Šamorín, Slovakia. He led off the bike, but Carl Smith had one of the most impressive runs I've ever seen, ever, to quickly overtake Frederick and take the win back in May. Wonderful race between those two athletes. As I said, fierce competitors on the field, but best of mates off the field. You can see that gap has really opened up now with Henry Schoeman no longer in contact with that group. So you've got this man leading the way. He has caused absolute carnage as soon as he was able to tack onto the back of that lead group. Sat there, recomposed, and then went for it. And once he hit the front, chaos followed. So we know Frederick Funk is leading behind. We've got Carl Smith and Aaron Royal. We know that Henry Schoeman has now been dropped from that group. Mark Dubrick is a little further behind. So they're all still within striking distance, so they can all still see each other. These roads right now you can see on screen are long, straight roads. So while we can see that those gaps are really starting to open up, you can see they can still see each other. But we know that Henry Schoeman now riding on his own, Mark Dubrick riding on his own, Carl Smith and Aaron Royal together. But it is Frederick Funk on screen now that is leading the way as he makes his way back to us here in the Expo Park.
It's amazing how long it is and how vast it is. Yeah, it's amazing the architecture here. Yeah, it's just amazing to see in person, really. Definitely come back again when we can walk a bit more of the wall, because we've got to save our legs for Sunday. So yeah, we're trying to rest as much, but yeah, it'd be nice to come and be able to walk parts of the wall. Definitely recommend to come here. Yeah, see the history and yeah, just walk on the wall.
What a Yangqing! What a Yangqing!
And as I said, such a fabulous group that we've got here. They had such a good time on Friday. They were such good sports about it all. They've literally had about 1 million interviews each since they got here. But they've been wonderful. The Chinese certainly know how to put on a party. Every day there's been something wonderful and new to do. Professional athletes were a little concerned on lap 2 that they would be passing age group athletes that were on lap 1, but you can see on screen these roads, as they've made them so wide. The entire road is closed, so ample room, plenty of room for our professional athletes to make their way past the age group athletes safely. As we've got Kyle Smith currently in second place. Aaron Royal still managing to stay with him. So you can see Frederick Funk now making his way back here towards us here in Expo Park, getting the shoes ready. Here's only moments. You can see there is the sign. To the left is to go on lap 2, to the right is to make your way to T2. So Frederick Funk, the first of our professional men now to make his way into transition. Ridiculously fast ride here today from Frederick. This is exactly the game plan he wanted. He knew that he was going to be out of the swim with a little bit of a deficit. He managed to bridge across. He is now going to be entering a transition in first place. I have to say, hats off to Aaron Royal. He is having a really good go of it so far, managing to stay with Kyle Smith. Really looking forward to seeing what the deficit is between this man on screen right now and our second and third place men, Kyle Smith and Aaron Royal. Looking so composed. Doesn't look like he's overdone it at all. Breathing is nice and controlled. And here we go. We've got both Kyle Smith and Aaron Royal now also making their way into transition. Let's see what that split is going to be. So you can see now, helmet off, race number on. Only compulsory for them to wear the race number during the run portion of this race here today. Kyle Smith making his way in. You can see that split, 50 seconds for Kyle Smith, 53 seconds for Aaron Royal. Frederick making sure that he's taken everything, watching his hand, a little bit of nutrition. Aaron having a quick look behind, but they have dropped the likes of Mark Dubrick and Henry Schoeman. You can see now Henry Schoeman 1:26 back, Mark Dubrick 1:29, so those two men are together. But wow, look at the damage that Frederick Funk has managed to do on that second lap. That's quite impressive. 50 seconds back to Kyle Smith. And anyone in the triathlon world knows just what a class rider Kyle Smith is. And Frederick Funk being able to come out with a deficit and still manage to put 50 seconds into Smith, that is impressive riding. Julie Deron on screen now, currently in third place. As we've got Henry Schoeman in transition. So Henry around that 1:27 mark down. He would be one of the faster runners in the field. As you can see, Mark Dubrick deciding to take the easy way in transition, sitting down to put his run shoes on. Frederick Funk absolutely flying. This first 1 kilometre is slightly downhill as he makes the right-hand turn. Two smaller loops here, so they'll do two identical. Look at that rider. You can see there's how much rain there's been. Oh my gosh, this is like a cross-country event. They're doing a steeplechase right now, but we've got 2 laps of 2.5K. Once they make their way through T2, they will then do an opposite lap, so a bigger lap of 5 kilometres. So 2 lots of 2.5 kilometre loops, and then moving in the opposite direction to do one larger 5 kilometre loop. There is literally only one uphill section, and it is very, very slight to the extent where it really will not play a part at all. of the two runners here out of Frederick Funk and Kyle Smith. A very similar situation we are seeing right now that we saw back in May at the championship in Šamarin, Slovakia, where Frederick Funk was able to put some time into himself and Kyle. And then it was Kyle Smith that was eventually able to run Freddie down and take the win. Is he going to be able to do the same thing here today? Little less time for it. Of course, the championship was run over 21.1 kilometres. We've only got 10 kilometres here today, so if Kyle wants to do it, he's going to have to get moving very, very quickly. So Lucy Barham and Paula Finlay both riding very, very well as they make their way around the second loop. Paula Finlay currently leading. These two women working very, very well with each other. Lucy Barham from Great Britain, Paula Finlay from Canada. They will enter transition together in first and second place. You can see now Frederick Funk making his way around lap 1. He will now make his way back towards transition. Kyle Smith trying desperately to hunt him down. Kyle might be one of the bigger athletes on course, but don't let that fool you into thinking that he cannot run. He is a brilliant runner. Both Kyle Smith and Frederick Funk under the same coach, Dan Lorang. One of the greatest coaches right now in the sport of triathlon. Of course, Jan Frodeno, Annie Haug. He's produced some of the greatest athletes in the world and continues to do so. Lucy Charles Barclay. Look at that shot. What a great shot. You can see just in the distance, Kyle Smith. He would be able to see Frederick Funk right now. 50 seconds was that gap in transition. Let's see what that gap is at the end of this first lap of 2.5 kilometres. I know Kyle wants to take the win here today, as does Frederick Funk. Currently sitting in third, Ellie Salthouse from Australia. It's been great having Ellie here today. So while she was the winner of the inaugural Challenge Samarkand last year, also happening today, we will be crowning a new winner in Samarkand. And of course, crowning a winner here in Beijing for the very first time. Our last race here back in 2019. And then of course 2020, well, we all know what happened in 2020. COVID hit us all. Great to have racing back here in China again. It's been a long time coming. We've got Challenge Xiamen in November as well, so another new race. What a great job, this district of Yanqing. Completely closing the roads for us. You know, it's always difficult when you come into a new district or a new place, a new city, and You say to the city, we need to close down your main roads for at least 3 to 4 hours. And Yenqing have been so brilliant about it all. So hats off to all of the people of Yenqing for being so accommodating all week. It's just been such a great buzz, such a great atmosphere. And this expo park, where the majority of the race is being held today, both the swim and the run, truly spectacular. And I am literally right below my little studio here, right below where you can see now not long to go now before we see our professional women, Lucy Byram and Paula Finlay, make their way back here to us in transition. We know at last check, Ellie Salthouse was around 53, 54 seconds behind. Aaron Royal out on course 2, currently in 3rd place, looking really good out on the run. Massive program for Aaron. Being given a split there, 28 seconds. One of our win-sponsored athletes. I know Luke McKenzie, Beth McKenzie back home, cheering Aaron on right now. He's been in the sport for such a long time, has been an incredible ambassador for the sport of triathlon and for triathlon in Australia. One of our most accomplished short course athletes, now crossing over to the middle distance, has been in the middle distance now for a couple of years. So we know that while we watch our women making their way back to transition, look at that now. So we've got Lucy Byram on the front. We've got Paula Finlay from Canada in 2nd place as they make their way into transition. Let's see what sort of split they have managed to create between themselves and Ellie Salthouse. We know for our men's race, Frederick Fonk had around 50 seconds over Carl Smith. We know already that that has whittled itself right down. At around that 2.5 kilometre mark, we know that Carl Smith is literally only 6 seconds behind Frederick Funk, with Aaron at 28 seconds behind. So Carl Smith can well and truly see Frederick Funk as Lucy Byram first into transition for our professional women. Paula Finlay right on her heels. Superb riding from both of these women here today. We expected nothing less. Both are brilliant riders. We know that Paula Finlay is gearing up for those time trial championships to be held in Zurich in a couple of weeks' time. So while our top 2 women make their way to their racks, we know that Ellie Salthouse is not too far behind. It should be around that minute mark, maybe a little more. It'll be interesting to see what these women have been able to do in those dying kilometres of this 40K bike ride. Oh, Paula, just a little bit of a mishap with the bike. A little bit slippery on those racks with the rain falling. You can see that the rain is starting to fall again. So those on shoes will be put on her feet. Nice quick transition from Paula. Everything needs to be put in the bag. That's right. Only the race belt being worn on the run here today. So while our 2 women are leaving transition, we've got Ellie Salthouse making her way into transition, currently in 3rd place. Must dismount before the wheel touches that red line on the ground. So 1:36. So last check it was around 54 seconds. It is now blown out to 1 minute and 36 seconds between Ellie Salthouse and our 2 leaders, Lucy Byram and Paula Finlay. Ellie with a quick check behind. We know that Sian Rainsley currently in 4th position with Amelia Watkinson. Julie Deron in 4th position with Sian Rainsley in 5th and Amelia Watkinson in 6th. So Ellie would have been looking behind then just to see where Julie is. Julie, for sure, the fastest runner in this group of 6. Ellie will be wanting a nice little buffer over the likes of Julie Deron heading out onto this 10-kilometre run course. So helmet off for Ellie Salthouse. Running shoes will go on. Race belt will go on. So Lucy Barham, Paula Finlay and Ellie Salthouse now swapped bike shoes for run shoes. And Ellie Salthouse also making her way out onto this 10-kilometre run. Solid race from Ellie. Nice little treat for the athletes here, running through a little lake on the run course. Just to add a little bit of fun for athletes, if it wasn't already hard enough. Now, I really can't tell you who is the superior runner out of these two. On paper, they're fairly evenly matched, to be honest. Of course, Torsten Rade helping me again with my stats. All of the numbers on paper. And on paper, he's got Paula Finlay being just ever so slightly faster than Lucy Barham. Of course, these are just numbers on paper. And when you're leading a race like we're seeing with these two women, you grow wings. So Lucy Barham doing a very good job right now, sitting on the shoulder of Paula Finlay. That is Tyler Misselchuk. I'm thinking there's only one person I know out on course that could be running that quickly, and it is Tyler Misselchuk. Remember, he is on his second lap, while the women are on the first lap. So those two first and second laps, are 2.5 kilometres in total. So while Paula and Lucy are on their first, that is Tyler Misselchuk on his second. And reports out on course right now is that Tyler is for sure the fastest runner on course, but he is obviously a fair way behind our new men's leader on left of screen, which is Carl Smith. This man continues to impress me each and every race he does. He really is on a roll this year. He's been able to make up that 50-second deficit he had out of T2 on Frederick Fonk. He is now leading our men's race here today. He will know that there's some pressure coming from behind. And look at this, Henry Schoeman and Mark Dubrick running side by side. They are flying. They have managed to pass Aaron Royal. We have got a race on our hands. So Aaron Royal there just in the background. Mark Dubrick really giving it everything. Henry Schoeman right there on Mark's shoulder. We know Tyler Misselchuk is coming like an absolute missile, but from behind. Currently still behind Aaron Royal, but he is absolutely flying. Oh, and look at this. They've already managed to pick up Frederick Fonk. This is incredible racing.
Bike, no matter what the distance is or the gap is to the next competitor, to the lead, you just got to tell yourself there's always a chance and push as hard as you can until the finish line. Just the atmosphere in general already seems like it's going to be just an exciting weekend. Obviously, when you get to the run, it's a bit easier for all the fans to cheer. We're in this beautiful park, and we're going to be running the course with all the age groupers. And for me, I just love to feed off of the other athletes, but then all the other fans out there. And I just have this feeling it's going to be a really big day and exciting day out there.
You know, he's such a class athlete, not just on the race field, but off the race field. One of the nicest. I keep saying this about every athlete here, but truly, every single professional athlete we have here in Beijing, I cannot say enough great things about them all. Mark Dubrick, he's struggled, you know, no bike turning up. His attitude has been brilliant. He's said, I'm going to give it everything I can today, and he was not lying. What a great race Mark is having so far. Henry on his shoulder. These two women, this is exactly what we wanted here today when we were picking the athletes to come over, because it was an invite-only race just for this year, for the inaugural year. We really wanted to showcase a variety of athletes from all around the world, some concentrating on short course, some better at longer distance.
Makes it a lot easier to race when you're well taken care of, and I just feel like this whole week and this whole race has been very perfect. In Beijing here is so beautiful through the garden and very beautiful bike course with perfect pavement, and everyone is so friendly. Seeing all these winter sports is very awesome. I've really enjoyed my time so far, and all of the Olympic venues is very inspiring and very cool. 美丽验证，并取下注。
And of course, Paula, she's been in the game a very long time. I first met Paula back when she was a junior athlete. She came to Noosa to do some training back when she was a short course specialist. Recently married to her long-term partner, Eric Lagerström. Big shout out to Eric back home. I know he will be joining her in Europe next week, or this week, I should say. Paula actually flies out to Zurich later tonight. No rest for the wicked, that's for sure. But we really did want to see some exciting, close racing over this distance. And we are getting exactly what we want here today. Lucy Byram with a quick check over the shoulder just to see if there's anyone behind. You can see now that that pace that Paula is setting is just starting to tickle. And you can see a little gap just starting to form between herself and Paula Finlay. Paula for sure the most experienced out of the two. Lucy Byram really only been pro for a little bit of time. And look at this, oh my gosh. Mark Dubrick, you are an absolute champion. Look at this race. You've got Henry right behind. These are our top three. You've got Carl Smith leading the way. Mark Dubrick right on his hammer. Henry Schoeman. I had breakfast this morning with Ellie Salthouse and her partner Zach, and I said, who's your pick for the men today, Ellie? And she said Henry. He's the quieter achiever. But these three men, I did not anticipate this happening here today. I thought once Kyle Smith got to the front that would be it. They are on the last loop, so the longer loop. They've just gone past the swim start here. I can see where they are. The swim start off to the right. And this second loop, 5 kilometres in total. Frederick Funk in 4th place. He can still see the three men up front, but that gap is starting to increase. So less than 5 kilometres to run. Will be interesting to see right now whether the race becomes one of strategy or whether Mark Dubrick will go straight to the front. Looks like he's quite content just for now to sit. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. He is absolutely going for it. He sat there for a second and then he decided, nope. And Mark Dubrick is now our new leader, racing on a borrowed bike today. Right now, I think the danger man is this man on screen, Henry Schoeman. As I said, the quiet achiever, just sitting back. Certainly one of the most experienced when it comes to this sort of racing. Beautiful run form of Henry Schoeman. Looking absolutely effortless. Quite content to let the two men out front. And now wouldn't this be a treat if these three were able to stay together all the way to the finish line. And it's quite an interesting finish line here. They will actually run past the finish for just around 100 metres. They then do a very sharp 180-degree turn before they then make their way down the longest finish straight you can get. I tell you what, right now I think Carl Smith's having deja vu of T100 in Singapore. Back then it was Martin Van Riel and Rico Bogan. Today it is Henry Schoeman and Mark Dubrick. So impressed with Mark's race. I mean, it's not easy. First the stress when your bike doesn't show up, then being told it would be on the next plane, it doesn't show up. Then you're told it's on the next plane, it doesn't show up. Then the realization that it ain't showing up and that you need to then desperately find a bike. They found that bike yesterday afternoon at 4 p.m. It was finally delivered to the hotel a little later. Doesn't seem to have had any ill effects on Mark. So right now, Paula Finlay leading the way for our women. We've got Lucy Byram in second. You can see her just back of screen there. Ellie Salthouse in third. Julie Deron currently in fourth. Sian Rainsley in fifth and Amelia Watkinson in sixth. Wonderful racing from these three men. We have got a race on our hands, and what a show we are going to be treated to here today. You can see a little bit of strategy coming into play right now. Pace is slowed just ever so slightly. This is when the mind games are going to start to begin. Frederick Funk still running well in fourth place. We know that right behind him, Tyler Misselchuk is lurking. Yep. And look at this, we've got Aaron Royal now coming up on to the shoulder of Frederick Funk. So only a matter of time now before Aaron moves himself into fourth place, Frederick Funk in fifth. But this is where the race is at. I believe this will be our podium. I just cannot tell you what order it's going to be in right now. I was discussing all the different scenarios with my team. Obviously, when we picked these athletes to come and race, this is exactly what we were after. And it's exactly what we're being given. Great to see. And we've got fourth and fifth place, Frederick Funk, Aaron Royal. Kyle Smith, his last two races second. I know he absolutely does not want second here again today. He's had some experience with the sprint finishes. We've been given reports out on course that Julie Deron is absolutely motoring. She came off the bike 2 minutes 35 down on our leaders, Paula Finlay and Lucy Byram. This is one of the most beautiful sections of the run. The athletes will make their way around this. You can see right now down on ground the three athletes making their way around this fountain. Look at that, what a sight. This is the only opportunity on the run course to see where your competitors are. Although these three, the race is really between them now. They will get one last look to see where Frederick Funk and Aaron Royal are. But these three know that the race is between them. They do not need to really worry about anyone else behind. This is where our podium will be decided. Oh, and look at this, a little bit of a gap's opened up between Mark Dubrick and Kyle Smith, with Henry Schumann just teetering off the back. But these two men, come on Kyle, come on Mark, this is exactly what we wanted here today. As you can see, Aaron Royal and Frederick Funk now also making their way around that fountain. They are on the home stretch. Literally only a couple of kilometres left to run. Oh, look at that. Not even a second between the three of them. Who is going to have the stronger legs on the finish line here today? You know, I've been in this sport now for coming up to 30 years, and I still get so excited. You cannot wipe the smile off my face. This is what we... Incredible racing, such incredible racing from Kyle Smith. He's just managed to turn the screws ever so slightly just to put the hurt on both Henry Schoeman and Mark Dubrick. That gap opening up between our female leader Paula Finlay and Lucy Byram. Paula Finlay just ticking it over in full control right now. So our women's race, certainly a lot different to what we're seeing right now with our men's race. Paula Finlay really looking good, in control. Lucy Byram behind. We know that Julie Deron is definitely running very, very well. Will Julie be able to catch Ellie Salthouse, currently in third place? Julie is in fourth. We are into the dying kilometres here today for our professional men's race. Oh, and here we go. You know, when I saw that these two men had caught Kyle, a little piece of me thought, oof, is it all over for Kyle? Is he going to have to settle for third place? But I should have known better. Kyle knows how to put himself in that hurt locker. He just needs to try and hold on now. They are so close to home. A really long sprint finish. As I said, they actually run past the finish arch. Look at that move from Mark Dubrick right now. You could see he just picked up the cadence. They are literally 100, 200 metres from home. Incredible racing. Kyle Smith, hats off to you. What a birthday present you are giving yourself here today. He turns 27 here today. We are going to celebrate later tonight, but will we be celebrating a win as well? $20,000 on the line for Kyle Smith. You can see that finish line off to the left there. It is so, so cruel. They have to run all the way past the finish line, and they will then make a very sharp 180-degree turn and run all the way back. But it looks right now like Kyle Smith from New Zealand, based in Girona with his partner, Kira McVitie. Kira, if you are watching, I am sure you are on the edge of your seat. But Kyle Smith, incredible. Last little look over his shoulder. He knows he's got it. I have got no words. I am so impressed with these three here today. Kyle Smith makes that last turn. Whoop, almost overshot the mark there. He will make his way towards the red carpet and the finish line. Superb, superb race from Kyle Smith. He will be our winner here today. He's wearing bib number 1. He will cross the finish line with the number 1 place in the inaugural Challenge Beijing 2024. Mark Dubrick giving it his all. What a time, 1:46, 1:47. Oh, Danny, a big slip on the finish line. He won't care. He has done what he came here to do. First place for Kyle Smith from New Zealand, right behind. And what an impressive race from this young man from the US, Mark Dubrick. Hats off to you. And Henry Schoeman, solid all day long in third place. Our top 3 men here today. High fives all round. Brilliant racing from these three men. Well, Kyle told me all he wanted was to finish one higher than his last two races. That meant nothing but first, and he's done it. Oh, and great race from Frederick Funk to hold off Aaron Royal. So Frederick Funk will cross the line in 4th place. Aaron Royal very close behind in 5th. Wonderful racing. Aaron Royal from Australia now across the line in 5th place. And we know Tyler Misselchuk will be coming home in 6th. So our top professional men now home and hosed. Wonderful race from all of our men racing here today. As we now go back to our women's race, Paula Finlay continuing to steadily put time into Lucy Byram. She knows she doesn't need to do anything silly here. Just nice, controlled running from Paula Finlay with every step, just managing to put a little bit more time, a little bit more of a gap between herself and Lucy Byram. Really impressed with Lucy's race here today. She has not been a professional athlete for that long, particularly when you compare it to the likes of Ellie Salthouse, Paula Finlay, and even Julie Deron. Definitely the less experienced, but not showing that at all right now. In 2nd place. Paul, a little look behind just to make sure that she's got it under control. I don't think she has any worries. She just needs to keep doing what she's doing, ticking it over. She looks nice and comfortable. Breathing is nice and controlled. There's no labouring there at all. She is such a class athlete. Sian Rainsley really looking great as well. First time over the non-drafting format. I think this woman will have a future in the longer distances when she decides to finally take that step up. I know she's still concentrating on the shorter distances, Olympic and sprint distances over the draft legal format. But great to see Sian out here as well. Back to the finish line with our professional men, Frederick Funk, Mark Dubrick and Henry Skuman. Swapping war stories right now. We will have a special dinner tonight for all of our professional athletes in celebration of such brilliant performances from them all here today. So not long to go now. I think around just under 3 kilometres left for our professional women, maybe a little less. You can see that that gap now really opening up. Again, Paula doesn't need to do anything crazy right now, just she keeps it ticking over. Lucy Byram looking very comfortable behind too. Paula just making sure that she is continuing to put a little bit of time into Lucy. Just makes those final kilometres a little bit easier to deal with. I asked Paula when the last time she raced over this distance. It's quite some time ago, but not looking like it's affecting her at all. Paula these days a middle distance specialist. And this woman on screen, this is who we wanted to see. I've been asking to go back, look at Julie, look at her. She is absolutely flying, by far the fastest on course. We know off the bike she was in 4th position. I'm not sure if she's managed to catch and overtake Ellie yet. Need to get a report out on course. But for sure, Julie Deron is absolutely motoring. This part of the run course, the most scenically spectacular part. Also quite technical with a lot of turns and twists. You can see now Paula about to make a right-hand turn. Julie Deron, that run form that took her to 2nd place to the silver medal in the Olympics in Paris. Not sure she was expected, or people thought that she would take silver. Such an impressive race. She's had so much going on since then. Of course, so many media commitments, interviews. So to come here was always going to be a big ask for Julie, but she is running like her life depended on it. So Julie Deron, absolutely flying, absolutely flying. Now I'm trying to see just where she is on course. We know into transition into T2, she was in 4th place. For sure running faster than any of the other women out on course. We've got Paula Finlay from Canada in 1st place. We've got Lucy Byram from Great Britain in 2nd place. It was Ellie Salthouse from Australia in 3rd. Just trying to see if Julie Deron has managed to overtake Ellie. We're just not sure of the order right now there. As you can see, Paula Finlay making her way back towards us now. Such an controlled, brilliant race from Paula. So big shout out to Zach, Ellie's partner, who is out on course, who has just been able to tell me that yes, Julie Deron has indeed been able to catch and overtake Ellie Salthouse. So we are now looking at 3rd place. So 3rd place, Julie Deron. She's now desperately trying to run down Lucy Byram. I think she'll run out of real estate. But I've said that before and been incorrect, so. So Ellie Salthouse currently in 4th. Brilliant racing from Paula Finlay. Still looking well and truly in control. You can see that she's just made that big U-turn round the fountain. She too is now on her way back towards us here and the finish line. A little bit tricky underfoot in these parts. You can see that there's some different surfaces that they have to run over. It is slippery. Just apologising again. We're having a few little technical issues. It's always when the exciting part of the day comes around. We are so close to the finish line for our professional women. I don't want any more technical issues to occur. Just remember, it's always a big ask for China. At first, we weren't sure we were even going to be able to have any sort of live coverage in English. So hats off to the team here for at least making it available. But I do apologise for a few of the technical issues we are having. Paula Finlay on screen right now, making her way towards the finish line. Literally only a couple of kilometres. She will know that she will have Julie Deron, a very, very scary prospect to know that the likes of Julie Deron is coming from behind. But I don't think Paula needs to worry too much about that. I think Julie will run out of real estate. Paula Finlay still running very, very well. Obviously not as quickly as Julie Deron. But look at this woman run. She was the winner this year at Challenge Valsi, along with her training partner, Panagiotis Bitados from Greece. Pan also having a great year this year. Can hear all of the Chinese, Jiao. This is what the athletes would have been hearing all day today, Jiao, Jiao. And you can see Paula, really only a couple of 100 metres left for Paula here today. She has done it. Such a controlled race. She took the lead, took control on the bike as we thought she would. She came into this race as the #1 on paper, thanks to Torsten Radet. Torsten, you've got it right this time. You've got it right on both counts. He had Kyle Smith as the #1 male. He had Paula Finlay as the #1 female. We know that sometimes on paper it doesn't always work out in reality, but today it has, as she makes her way down towards that final turn. She'll then make that left-hand turn and she will run down the carpet towards the finish line. And that $20,000 US prize check. Here she comes. Give her a round of applause. What a brilliant race from Paula Finlay. She makes that final turn. And you can see Lucy Byram. What a great race from Lucy too. Always staying in contact, not letting that gap open up too far. It will be Paula Finlay from Canada coming home in first place here today. It will be Lucy Byram from Great Britain in second. But it is this lady on screen, Paula Finlay. Spectacular race. She's been in this game for so long now. Gives herself a clap, as she should. Wonderful, wonderful race from Paula. Big smiles as she crosses the line. She will be your champion here today at the inaugural Challenge Beijing. 1:57.36 on the clock, so lightning fast time. Lucy Byram from Great Britain. Big wave to the crowd. Lucy Byram home in second. Such mutual respect, these two, for each other. They raced so well today. They dominated the bike. That is where they got their lead. That is where they set their race up. And Julie Deron, what a run. By far the fastest runner here today. Moving herself up into third place, fresh off her silver medal from Paris. She will be third place, taking that final spot on the podium. 52 seconds in arrears. But wonderful racing from these three women. Zibby Flick down on the ground, congratulating all the athletes. You've got Carl Smith. I did hear that they wished him, they sang him happy birthday only a few minutes ago on the finish line. Julie just showing the signs of the last couple of weeks, few weeks. It's been huge. Such a demanding time for her. And Ellie Salthouse, well done, Ellie. She makes that final turn. She will be home in 4th place.
Two more girls to come here. To the finish line, and here is it. She, our 4th place. Fantastic effort from her. All the way from Australia.
So Ellie Salthouse here with her partner Zach. He was one of our on-ground spotters. He's done a great job here today. Ellie Salthouse, a little wave. She will come across the line here today in 4th place. You can see the effort that these women have put in here today. They've given it absolutely everything. 2:21 down on our leader, on our winner here today, Paula Finlay. Yep. Asking for a little bit of help. I'm sure she'll be okay, but it just shows you these women have raced their absolute hearts out. And then Sian Rainsley literally only just got onto time trial frame a few weeks ago. First time over the non-drafting format. Sprained her ankle last week, and it was a terrible sprain. We were unsure whether she was going to be able to run today, but look at this, showing what an absolute champion that she is. She will be home today in 5th place. Her fiancé Tom Bishop getting ready to start in Samarkand in Uzbekistan. So these two will be tag teaming each other today. While one finishes, the other will start. So Sian Rainsley from Great Britain bringing it home today in 5th place. Well done. Big smiles from Sian. Her and Lucy, really good friends. All of these women are great friends. They've had such a great week together.
Great efforts out on the track.
So now we only have one left. Amelia Watkinson from New Zealand, our 6th and final professional female to be racing, still out on course, making her way towards the finish line. And just like we saw with our professional men, a little bit of a debrief, or a post-brief, I should say, not debrief, post-brief between the women, talking about the race. Wonderful to see these women on the finish line. Such incredible athletes, both on and off the race course. The same can be said for our men. Caliber athletes we have here today. Some of the best in the world, as we see Amelia Watkinson now making her way to that last turn and around. She will go to the finish line, really putting it in, so much effort. You know, these women are used to racing in much, much bigger fields. For Amelia, it was a lonely day. She would have done this all on her own. She should be very, very proud with that effort, though. Solo from the time the gun went off. Come on, Meals. Currently training in St. Moritz. resides back home with me on the Sunshine Coast, just down the road. Well done, Amelia. And look at that, all of our women on the finish line, waiting for Amelia to come across. The camaraderie between these women, whew, it's pretty special. And you can see Amelia, she wanted a little bit more today. But she should hang her head high, because honestly, 6 women racing, it was always going to be tough. And while we're always going to have a winner, we also have to have a 6th place, and that happened to be Amelia. She still raced so incredibly well. All of our athletes did here today. What a show they put on for us all. Great aerial shot right now of the venue. You can see where we are down below that finish line. And while our professional men's and women's race is now done and dusted, of course, we have got over 1,000 age group athletes making their way around the run course, the true heroes of the sport of triathlon. Okay, so while we can see our age group athletes making their way through the bike and run course here in the Expo Park, we are going to go down shortly with the interviews of our top 3 men and women. So bear with us. We will be going down on ground to the finish line with our winner, Kyle Smith from New Zealand, and our female winner, Paula Finlay from Canada. So for both of our winners here today, Kyle Smith and Paula Finlay, they came in as the favourites, and they are going to leave as the favourites, both taking home $20,000 apiece. The professional athletes racing here today have been treated like absolute royalty all week long, have been treated like the superstars that they are.
跟那女主人说采访短一点，热多了，还正唱上生日歌了，我他妈孩子呢？
So now we have got the highlights from today. It started this morning at 7:30 on the dot. Our professional men took to the water for what was a 1,500-metre single loop swim. You can see our officials starting the day. 7 of our professional men took to the Gui River.
长度呢是40。
Made their way around the swim. Our women were 5 minutes behind. It was Sian Rangeley and Julie Deron who took control of the swim here. In our men's race, it was Henry Schumann, Aaron Royal. But very, very close behind. Probably closer than these two men would have liked. It was Kyle Smith. What a stunning swim he had today. Onto the bike. It was Kyle Smith, Mark Dubrick, Henry Schumann, Aaron Royal, and Tyler Misselchuk just there on the end. But one by one, they started to fall apart. Kyle Smith took control of the bike until Frederick Funk was able to catch him. In the women's race, Sian Rangeley out in first, Julie Deron on her feet. We then had Ellie Salthouse, Lucy Byram, and Paula Finlay chasing hard. But it was to be Paula Finlay and Ellie Salthouse who took control. It was Lucy Byram. It's not Ellie Salthouse, sorry, Lucy Byram that took control. Ellie Salthouse in third at that stage. But this man on screen, Frederick Funk, what a ride he had, coming into transition with about a 50-second gap over this man on screen, Kyle Smith. And what a running race we had. Little bit of a chat between these two friends as Kyle takes the lead for the first time on the run. Frederick Funk back in second. I thought the day was done and dusted. I was very, very wrong. Our two women, Paula Finlay and Lucy Byram, taking control on the bike with Ellie Salthouse in third. Paula being able to create a little gap between herself and Lucy. But it was this man in the men's race who was able to create a little bit of a gap between himself and Mark Dubrick. What incredible race between Kyle Smith, Mark Dubrick, and Henry Schumann, our top 3 men here today. And for our women, Paula just slowly increased that gap between herself and Lucy. With the fast flying Julie being able to overtake Ellie Salthouse at around the 6 kilometre mark, we were told. But Paula Finlay taking the win. Lucy Byram in second. And Julie Deron in third.